salvation. Elohim's love for everyone, all over the nation. It's for Allah the Father of the universe. M's for Moorish Americans and Muslims, which are us. ISLAM. Islam, Muslim, Islam. Just saying the word means peace to me. Islam, Muslim, Islam. All rise, face the east. Feet to 90 degrees, 45 on each side. 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right. Repeat the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Through Ali.
Through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Remain standing. We rise and give praise to Allah.
We rise and give praise to Allah,
Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
We give honor to the prophet Noble Ali.
We give honor to the prophet Noble Ali,
The last prophet in days and time.
the last prophet in days and time,
And the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
and the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Give honor to all the prophets of Allah.
Give honor to all the prophets of Allah,
Jesus,
Jesus,
Muhammad,
Muhammad,
Buddha,
Buddha,
and Confucius,
and Confucius,
etc.
etc.
Giving honor to the harbinger of the prophet Noble Ali.
Give honor to the harbinger of the prophet Noble Ali,
Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Give honor to the past Supreme Grand Advisor and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Give honor to the past Supreme Grand Advisors and moderators of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Brother C. Kirkman Bey.
Brother C. Kirkman Bey,
Brother F. Nelson Bey.
Brother F. Nelson
And
Bey,
Brother J. Blakely Bey.
and Brother J. Lincoln Bey.
Give honor to the past Grand Sheikh and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Give honor to the pastor and chief and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Brother Arlo Eder.
Brother Arlo Eder.
Give honor to the present Grand Sheikh and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Give honor to the present Grand Chief and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Brother R. Jones Day.
Brother R. Jones Day.
And to his assistant,
And to his assistant,
Brother A. Hopkins Day.
Brother A. Hopkins Day.
Give honor to the Grand National Chairman,
Give honor to the Grand National Chairman,
Brother P.K. Seal.
Brother P.J. Seal,
And to his assistant,
and to his assistant,
Brother L. Thompson Day.
Brother L. Thompson Day.
Give honor to the Grand National Secretary,
Give honor to the Grand National Secretary,
Sister W. Wright Bay.
Sister W. Wright Bay,
And to her assistant,
and to her assistant,
Sister A. Robinson Bay.
Sister A. Ravenel Bay.
Give honor to the treasurer of Moorish Science Temple of America,
Give honor to the treasurer of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Sister S. Jones Bay.
Sister S. Jones Bay,
And to her assistant,
and to her assistant,
Sister P. Smith Bay.
Sister P. Smith Bay.
Give honor to the Grand Mufti,
Give honor to the Grand Mufti,
Brother J. Fraser Bay.
Brother J. Fraser Bay.
Give honor to the Grand National Financial Secretary,
Give honor to the Grand National Secretary,
Sister N. Johnson Bay.
Sister N. Johnson Bay.
Give honor to all national,
Give honor to all national,
state,
state,
and local officials of the Moorish Science of America.
and local officials of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Give honor to all Grand Governor Assistant
Give honor to all Grand Governors and
and
Assistants,
all Grand Sheikh and Assistant.
and all Grand Chiefs and Assistants.
Give honor to the Grand Governor of the State of New York,
Give honor to the Grand Governor of the State of New York,
Brother D. Clark Hill,
Brother D. Clark Hill,
and to the assistant,
and to his assistant,
Brother A. Gaines Hill.
Brother A. Gaines.
Give honor to the Grand Sheikh of Temple number 34,
Give honor to the Grand Chief of Temple number 34,
Brother W. Clendenin Bay,
Brother W. Clendenin Bay,
and to his assistant,
and to his assistant,
Sister C. Seals Hill.
Sister C. Seals.
Give honor to the Grand Sheikh Emeritus,
Give honor to the Grand Chiefs Emeritus,
Sister E. German Bay.
Sister E. German.
Give honor to all officials of Temple number 34,
Give honor to all officials of Temple
all
number
Sheikh and
34,
Sheikesses,
all chiefs, chiefs,
all divine ministers,
all divine ministers,
all members.
all members.
Give honor to our two flags,
Give honor to our two
the
flags,
American flag
the American
and the
flag
Moorish flag.
and the Moorish flag.
Give honor to our charter,
Give honor to our
then wonders and mysteries of the world,
with the 10 wonders and mysteries of the world.
because it's right to teach Islam in America without molestation.
Give us the right to teach Islam in America without
We
molestation.
want the divine constitution and bylaws,
Give us the divine
questioning
constitution
and
and
additional
bylaws,
laws,
questioning and
the
additional laws,
Holy Koran,
the Holy Koran,
Moorish literature,
Moorish literature,
humanity pamphlet,
humanities
and
pamphlet,
all the divine instructions of the Prophet for the uplifting upon humanity.
and all the divine instructions of the prophet brought for the uplifting and fallen humanity.
We want to everyone who's working for the uplifting upon humanity.
Give honor to everyone who's working for the uplifting and fallen humanity.
Peace.
Peace.
Islam,
Islam.
I read the laws of the Moorish Science of America. Starting Christian salvation, all-seeing eye, our God's hand-present unity. The Moorish Science of America, divine constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant grand sheik assists the grand sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is a holiday of rest because on the Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member to put in danger or accuse false to his brother or sister on any occasion and call them may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve the holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being in Moorish America, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion. This organization, Moorish Science Temple of America, is not to cause any confusion or to overturn the laws and constitution of the same government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they're part and parcel of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, color folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this ain't newer a time now. All men now must proclaim the three national names to be recognized by the government which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish remember the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwest and the southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members of the public attending meetings are becoming part and parcel of all overtaken acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting upon humanity. All Moorish members keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant from your holy prophet, Noble Ali, to the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Noble Ali, the founder of Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, but not of my day. To his holy prophet, Ali. Amen. Let's already the 7 acts of the divine constitution and dialogue of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm now going to the great meeting is on. Koran question for Moorish Americans, page 7. Questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Ali, page 7. Act 1. Grand Sheik and governors and heads of all temple or businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Ali before acting upon by any members, let it be financed property or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc. That will cause the vote of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to removed from his office under every restriction, etc. by the Prophet or the Grand Sheik. Act 2. All members shall attend their Adam meetings and their public meetings often. If a member is found standing around their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go to your emergency fund. If member is working his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe as much as he's able to the Moorish Blessed Fund, because it takes finance of the information. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not,
He's an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must case you. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As I have the power invested in my hands, I would have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we have to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meeting and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they're part and partial of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, color folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But there's a new era of time now, and all men now must obtain their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained over you Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish remember the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must come to attend the meetings that become a part and parcel of all other things acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all the dues of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All motion workers keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant from your holy prophet over to Ali, to the gospel of his father, God Father. Thus are the 7 acts of the questioning and additional laws for the Moorish American by the prophet over to Ali. And now turn your attention to the Holy Koran, the Moorish Science of America, Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Ali. Right now, for his father, God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from the sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father, God Allah. Now turn your attention to the chapter for today, which is found on page 30. Divine instruction from the Holy Prophet, chapter 19. Jesus appeared, fully materialized, to the Eastern sage in the palace of Prince Ravana in India, to the Magian priest in Persia. The 3 wise men speak in praise of the personality of the Nazarene. Ravana, Prince of India, gave a feast. His palace in Orissa was the place where men of thought from all the farthest east were wont to meet. Ravana was the prince with whom the child Jesus went to India when he was 12 years old. The feast was made in honor of the guests of the wise men of the east. Amongst the guests was Wednesday, Vidyapati, and Lamar. The wise men sat about the table talking about the needs of India and the world. The door unto the banquet hall was in the east. A vacant chair was at the table to the east. And as the wise men talked, a stranger entered and announced, and raising up his hand in benediction said, all hail. A halo rested on his head. A light unlike the light of the sun filled all the room. And Jesus sat down in the vacant chair. And then the wise men knew it was the Jewish prophet who had come. And Jesus said, behold, for I have risen from the dead. Look at my hands, my feet, my side. The Roman soldiers pierced my hands and feet with nails, and then one pierced my heart. They put me in a tomb, and then I wrestled with the conqueror of death. I conquered death. I stamped upon him and arose. He brought immortality to life, and painted on the ring, and painted on the walls of time a rainbow for the sons of men. What I did, all men shall do. The gospel of the resurrection of the dead is not confined to the Jews and the Greeks. It is the heritage of every man, of every time and clime. And I'm here, a demonstrator of the power of that. Then he arose and pressed the hand of every man and of the royal host and said, Behold, I'm not this named by fleeting wind, for I'm flesh and bones and brawn, but I can cross the borderline of will. And they talked together there a long, long time. Then Jesus said, I go my way, but you shall go to all the world and teach the gospel of the omnipotence of man, the power of truth, the resurrection of the dead. He who believes this gospel of the Son of Man shall never die. The dead shall live again. And Jesus disappeared, but he had sown the seed. The words of his life was spoken in a record, and all of whom he had heard. The Nigerian priests were in the silence of the sepulchre, and Casper and the Nigerian master, who were first to greet the child of who was supposed to greet the child of the promise in the shepherd home in Bethlehem, where were with the priest. And Jesus came and sat with them. A crown of light was on his head, and when the silence ended, Casper said, A master from the royal council of the silent brotherhood is here. Let us give praise. And all the priests and masters stood and said, All hail. What message from the royal council do you bring? And Jesus said, My brothers of the silent brotherhood, peace on earth, goodwill to men. The problem of the age has been solved. A Son of Man has risen from the dead, has shown that human flesh can be transformed into flesh divine. Before the eyes of men, this flesh in which I come to you was changed with the speed of light from human flesh, and so I am the message that I bring to you. To you, I come the first of all the race to be transmuted to the image of Allah. What I have done, all men will do. What I am, all men shall be. But Jesus said no more. In one short breath, he told the story of his mission to the sons of men. And then he disappeared. The Nigerian priest said, some time ago we read this promise now fulfilled upon the dial plate of heaven. And then we saw this man who has just demonstrated unto us the power of man to raise from carnal flesh and blood to flesh of Allah, a babe in Bethlehem. And after many years he came and sat with us in these same robes. He told the story of his human life, of trial and sore temptation, buffeting and woe. He pressed along the thorny ways of life till he has risen and overcome the strongest foe of Allah and man. And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. He is the God-man of today, but everyone of earth shall overcome and be like him, the son of Allah. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age, and the event after he had risen from the dead, he appeared back to India, Europe, and Africa in the land of Egypt, and made himself known unto the world. These events are the 18 years which are absent in the Holy Bible. Unquote. The event of John the Baptist, John thought of by the Egyptian saved, the meeting of the Baptist in the house of baptized himself. And after he was baptized, he was taken at the age of 12 years into Africa the land of Egypt, and they remained in the Egyptian school 18 years. And then he learned his duty as the forerunner of Jesus. That's what I read the entire chapter, divine instruction from the Holy Prophet, chapter 19. Jesus appeared fully materialized to the Egyptian slaves in the palace of Prince providing in India, to the Median priest in Persia. Few wise men speak and praise of the personality of the Nazarene. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, to know their higher self and lower self. This is Nagger, Holy Koran of Nickel, the teaching instruction on North America, on the Holy Koran and more science of America. Know yourself and your Father God Allah, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Every man needs to worship on his own vine and preach, uniting of hate. God, please now open the phone to the prophet Lord. I'd like to say and be glad to be here with my brothers and sisters and all those who are online. We just want to remind the Moors, all those who are online, you are in the temple. So you have the same courtesy of raising your hand. Don't interrupt him. Just make sure that you raise your hand and the instructor will never recognize you and answer whatever question you need to answer. We want to make sure we follow those protocols, and that's very important for each and every one of us. Make sure we conducting our meeting according to the proper law. Praise the Lord. And we'd like to say welcome everyone to our Sunday school. At this time, I'd like to call our Sunday school instructor. I'd like to call our man, she's going to report from the condemning baby. After some.
Oh, I can't see Allah, but I feel him in my bones. Oh, I feel him in my bones. Oh, I feel him in my bones. Oh, I can't see Allah, but I feel him in my bones. Feels like fire stirred up, fire stirred up, fire stirred up, cold in my bones, in my bones. Where's the nearest place to meet him? We need them all in our hearts. Oh, we need them all in our hearts. Oh, we need them all in our hearts. Where's the nearest place to meet him? We need them all in our hearts. Feels like fire stirred up, fire stirred up, fire stirred up, all in my bones, in my bones. With noble Drew Ali, he's a prophet of Allah. He's a prophet of Allah. He's a prophet of Allah. Who is noble Drew Ali? He's a prophet of Allah. Feels like fire stirred up, fire stirred up, fire stirred up, all in my bones, in my bones. Islam or American?
Islam.
Praise Allah. You can see the Moors out for Sunday school. Who do we have on the Zoom so I know? Islam. This time we have Brother Salim Bay. Brother Salim Bay. Sister E. Jones Bay. E. Jones Bay. Brother El Sereno Bay. El Sereno Bay. We have Brother and Sister T and D. Adams Bay. Brother and Sister T. Adams Bay. Islam's Adams Bay family. We have the Adams Bay children. Praise Allah. Down in Moorish home number 1. Praise Allah. Good to have all the Moors. We're going to go over the questionnaire. Everybody should have a questionnaire. Praise Allah. Allah bless you, Moor. So we're going to start in the questionnaire. Islam Moors, question 1. Who made you?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where's the nearest place we can meet him?
In the heart.
Who is Noble Drew Ali?
He is Allah's prophet.
What is a prophet?
Prophet is Allah manifested in flesh.
What is the duty of a prophet?
To save nations from the wrath of Allah.
You know, in these first 7 questions, the prophet's trying to get us to focus on some things. You know, we're here in the Moorish national and divine movement. You know, last week I was talking about, I had this demonstration on the board over here. You know, national and divine movement. So when you come into the organization, you have a certain percentage of your spiritual development before you get here. Certain consciousness of your nation. I was saying, like, for the lower self, maybe a person might have like 70%. You're looking at percentage, lower self, 30% higher self. And then they join the temple. And along the way, we talk about those that are no longer slaves to sin. more did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name?
Yes, but it's not now used by those who are slaves to sin.
Right? So you know how people always say, oh, I was in my lower self more. Oh, you know, they learn about the higher self and lower self. And now there's this struggle. There's this struggle to go from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. It's a struggle that your purpose is my purpose, what I want to do, and what Allah's purpose is, who made you. And here's this struggle of belief and faith and fruition and trying to purify yourself. It's like getting that juice that's not 100% juice. Got all these different ingredients in it, and you're trying to get it to be 100% juice. Perfected man, fruition. You're coming, now you got a fez on, and you're changing this ratio of low to high. You're working on yourself. And then I put this glow around there. That glow, that's the light. Because the prophet was instructed when John and Jesus was just babies. He was instructed by the masters. And in the instructions, they told him that if you could see the light, and then you walk in the light, then you could become the light. So when you hear about these different situations where they talk about they had like a halo around them, or this aura around them, this vibration around them, right? We talked about those different levels in the called the Kundalini. So you in your spine, you got these different centers. There's 7 of them. And the top one is the crown. And that's supposed to release this light we're talking about, the light. So in these first couple of questions, as a brother or sister come into the temple and remind us every Sunday school when we go through the lessons, is who made you? You know, because we go through this life sometimes. Sometimes we lose focus on what it's all about. Who made us? I mean, just that question itself, do we owe some kind of respect and honor and love and some kind of connection to the creator that created us? Or that once he created us, I could do whatever I want, or whatever, and what his creation is, and all his brothers and all his children. So in the Moorish science of America, we learn about this cord. And so in here, it talks about the nearest place we can meet him is in the heart. Talk about your spiritual heart. So we need to learn a series of meditation in our nation or in our neighborhoods. We don't grow up with this sense of going into the silence. We don't grow up with this sense of having a master. You know, I tell sometimes I hear a brother or sister maybe talk about some kind of concept like that, is that they was in some kind of martial arts program. Where else would a brother or sister growing up in Jamaica, Queens, or the Bronx, or Philadelphia, or Los Angeles, where would they understand that? You know? So praise Allah. So we have this concept, we talk about meeting Allah in the heart, and then we have the concept about the prophets. And Prophet Muhammad said that Allah sent over 124,000 prophets. That's a lot of love. That's a lot of instructions. So praise Allah. Number 8, who was the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
1913.
Where? Where was Noble Drew Ali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish Americans?
Because we are descendants of Moroccans and one.
What purpose was Moorish Science of America founded?
For the uplifting of all humanity.
All right. So on our newspaper, we've been talking about it all year. Actually, I was talking about it last year. 1925. It's the anniversary. What happened in 1925 for the Smithia? Islam.
Praise and honor is already given, but once again, I rise and give praise to the great God Allah, and the honors to his prophet, Hamshi, to everyone of you. In May 1925, the Moorish Science Temple of America organized the Moorish Temple of Science.
Okay, praise Allah. So we organized, right? Incorporated in 1926 as a civic organization. But part of this organization was setting aside the first temple. We talked about the crescent and the star appearing in the sky in December of 1925.
I believe the first Temple 1 set aside, I believe it was October 1925. And so, question 15, for what purpose? So I got that word on the board there. What purpose? Islam, Brother Gaines here. Islam.
First, I'd like to rise and give praises unto Allah, the Father of the universe, all of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Honor to the illustrious prophet, Prophet of Ali, and honor to everything that pertains to Islam and peace. Praise Allah, the morals are speaking about that year 1925, because one of the things I like to always say in the Moorish Science Temple of America, and I think the young Muslims need to realize this, a lot of things said in the Moorish Science Temple of America are from mouth to ear. Everything is not going to be written down. The prophet said, those of you who doubt whether I'm a prophet, watch my prophecies. This is what this movement is about. It's not about everything being written in a book, because if anything needs to be hidden from you, would they put it in a book? No. It's not going to always be put in a book. But 1925, and in specific, December 18th, 1925, is when the prophet received that sign from Allah. And he said that if I don't receive this sign from Allah, then I'm not the one to follow. And what that let me know is we all going to be tested at one point in time in your life. We all have to receive a sign from Allah, because we all have a personal mission of what Allah sent us here for. That's why you got to find your personal mission for what Allah sent you here for, and then you have to live that out. And that's how you can be service to Allah. And the last point I want to make is this. When you look in the Holy Koran, it talks about pay the debts without oath. For he who gave thee credit relied upon thine honor, and to withhold from him his due is both mean and unjust. Well, I realized to myself, I said, well, I'm dealing with meanness and being unjust if I don't pay the prophet back, because I owe the prophet a debt. I owe Prophet Noble Jew Ali a debt. Why? Because he gave me not only my nationality and identification card, and it says this is your nationality and identification card for the Moorish Science Temple of America, and what? And birthrights for the Moorish Americans. We received our birthrights. And if you go into, I don't want to go ahead of the grand sheet, but when we get to the point in the questionnaire where it says, what is the everlasting gospel? It is the saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet. But how can you have that saving power if you didn't proclaim your nationality?
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Gaines. I appreciate that. You know, and you know, at the top of that over there, I have 90 years, because in 2 weeks we're going to celebrate our anniversary here at Temple number 34. So 90 years, and like the brother was talking about, from mouth to ear. You know, when we think about 90 years or even longer, we talk about 100 years since the organization, since that first temple. And more is trying to carry out this national and divine mission. You know, it's very important that we understand the legacy of what's going on here. You know, some of the brothers and sisters that have been in the organization over the last 35, 40 years almost, we met some of the brothers and sisters that carried on that mission during part of that 90 years. Dedicated their life to that. And they put themselves in a position that the temple doors would be open when we came in. They put themselves in a position to preserve the teachings and not add all this other stuff that you can might add to it. Now in the advent of AI and computers and everything, people are generating all kind of things that the prophet didn't have. Images alike. And so the purpose, and when we celebrate, we want to also celebrate those that came before us. So praise Allah. And the uplifting of fallen humanity. I want to go to page 2. Question 16. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish America?
By teaching them to be themselves.
What is our religion?
Islam.
Is that a new or is that an old time religion?
Old time religion.
What kind of flag is the Moorish?
It is a red flag with 5 degrees off the center.
What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
So if we stop there and to pick up on a point that Brother Gaines here was making reference to for the Moors, if you have your Moorish literature. So we're talking about the flag, right? Here's Moorish flag right here. Right, we got it over here. I was speaking the other night, and we was talking about having a vision. And one of the visions I was talking about in the future, was Serrano Bay and I in the newspaper, we have this column called The Next 100 Years, from 2013 to 2113. So you know when you go to a federal facility, court, administrative building, whatever, they have the flag of the United States of America. And I said in my vision, there will be the Moorish flag there and the American flag. The Moorish flag will be on the top or to the right. And what do I mean by that? So in this statement, and we're talking about the prophet and the flag and the questionnaire, I want to go to the prophet makes a plea to the nation on page 8. So on the top of page 8, the prophet says, that's why I'm calling on all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work that I'm doing to help this national government. For without a free national name, with a decent flag of your forefathers, that's this flag I'm talking about right here, there is not a national divine title of the government in which we live. I'll read that again. For without a free national name, with a decent flag of your forefathers, there's not a national divine title of the government in which we live. This is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers, Prophet Noble Drew Oliver. So what the prophet is talking about is making this government right. Yeah, it's a government. We're part and parcel of this government. But without the connection with the Moors, without our rightful place within the government, like I mentioned to the Moors, and you look at the back of the dollar bill, without the eagle and the pyramid together, right, then it's not going to work, right? There's going to be this conflict, all right? And so that's when the prophet is talking about to tell the people the truth about their birthrights. If you ask the people about their birthrights, they don't see any connection to this land, and some of our people don't even see any connection to the United States of America's government, all right? But what I want to do is, if there's any questions or comments from the Green government, it's on. So if you talk here, it's on.
Thank you, Brother Rashid, for bringing that point up. Without your free national name and a reading again,
Sure.
decent flag with your form.
Yep. For without a free national name, comma, with a decent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national divine title of the government in which we live.
Thank you. See, we got to understand what Prophet Noble Drew Oliver was saying. We are part and parcel. But what the prophet is talking about, title denotes ownership. Understand, title denotes ownership. What he's saying is, without your free national name, they, either, and that decent flag of your forefathers, the Moorish flag, which is how old?
Over 10,000 years old.
50,000 years. Over 10,000. There is not a national title. What he is telling you and telling the world, that's why he says he's calling on all American and foreign sympathizers, to let them know that all that they desire, love, and want to be a part of in this government, that the authority and power of this government permeates from the Moorish flag. And I'll give you the proof. You don't believe whether or not I'm a prophet? Watch my prophecies. That's what he said, right? They changed every bill in the federal system except for the dollar. Because on the dollar bill is that Moorish ensign of the pyramid. But as Brother Curtis Bay, our old ranch chief used to say, my daddy's eye. They can change everything else, but that they can't change because it does not belong to them. You have to have a title of ownership, which they do not have. They do not have that. That's why they can't change it. That's why there's no titles of nobility. The sovereignty of this government has never changed. It was established as it was established over 10,000 years ago, not 250 years ago. And that's why the prophet came back. He took everything back and renamed it Moorish. That's why he told the Moors about 1929, when he went to the Pan American Conference and he retrieved the mandate to this government. And I remember Brother Cook Bay, both Cook Bay brothers, Brother Booker Bay, some of my Moors that was with the prophet. The prophet showed it to them in the Adab chamber. This is what these brothers told me. They were there when the prophet showed it to me. So praise Allah for the prophet. Peace.
Praise Allah. Brother Turnerback? King Turnerback?
Rise, give praise to the great God, Allah, honors to the Prophet, Noble Ali. You know, this is a nice demonstration. Because when I look at the flag of the state of New York, or the symbols they got, they have a so-called native and they have a pilgrim, right? And I can comprehend that based on the deep history that's well documented in New York. However, I haven't seen anything, when people, talk about the dollar. There's no disrespect, but I just want, to be, pointed in the right direction where I can see some evidence that we had a hand in that dollar, or we got ownership to the symbol or representation of that dollar. I haven't seen that. Rest in peace.
Peace. Praise Allah. I think that, thank you for your comment. I think that if you think about what Brother Clark was saying, what this flag represents, thousands of years before I even got here, thousands of years any of us have got here, before the Prophet was here, what was established by the Moors, over 50,000 years old, right? And that's where the title comes from, the birthright. So when we look at this thing, no, there's not going to be a document somewhere in 1774 saying, oh, we decided to take the Moorish emblem of the pyramid and make it part of the dollar. It's not going to be there. But you're going to see all kinds of things, whether it's the Pope making certain papal bulls, whether certain treaties were made, like with Morocco and the United States, certain artifacts that we find. All of these is remnants of the Moorish Empire. All right? So is there something specific that you think that you would find? Islam.
Like you said, like this specifically New York, it's documented history, right? So we go back to World War I, and if you chronologically look at it, who went to war, what was the purposes, it's a lot of assumptions, and you gotta weigh and measure, right? Truth. We here to distinguish truth from error. So I don't want to be walking around here claiming something or falsifying something or saying something that you can't even stand on. That's not, to me, that's not being a Moorish American. you stand on truth. So, you know, when you follow the line of the World War One, to me, that's the whole war between Moors and the Europeans, and the dividing of the lands, you know, based on things that they destroyed, based on treaties, people that was so-called chieftains that was murdered, so-called, you know, whoever entered the war, you know. But what I'm asking is, you know, it has to be somewhere. It has to be documented on who made that. You know, what was the demonstration? You know, we know history is altered, right? We understand that, but you know, it's only but so long that you can hide the truth. You know what I'm saying? Everything done in the dark soon comes to light. You know what I'm saying? I'm a true believer, so it has to be something mentioned. It has to be in some type of history, some type of archive. You got Slavic records, you know, that they translate now in English that I can comprehend and talk about Moors coming to visit. You know what I'm saying? Them paying homage or tidings or what you call it. You know, so it has to be somewhere. It just can't be just out there for us to just say whatever and it be believed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, with that.
All right, I'm gonna get to Brother Parker, but right before I get you, so if we're talking about what the conversation was with the pyramid, right? And I mentioned this before about the dollar bill. Those two combined is called the Great Seal of the United States, right? It's our Great Seal. Just like when you talk about the chapter we just read, talk about Rome put the seal of Rome, right? So the Great Seal. So yes, you can look into the history. I looked into the history of the Great Seal of the United States. And they give you the history of why the eagle's on there. They give you the history of why the pyramid's on there, right? And from understanding of that, what they put together, you know what I'm saying? You can come up with the various thoughts that you hear the Moors talk about. You know, so there is a history. It's not, this didn't just appear on a dollar out of the blue. And why did they put this? And why was this supposed to represent? And like I said before, if you look at it, the front and the back, right? The pyramid is the front of the Great Seal, right? You look at the writing on it. The Great Seal continued of the United States on the other side. But Brother Clarkill?
Islam.
Islam?
Brother K. Turner there. There's a written history about the Great Seal. What I would like for you to do is study the history and see how they came up with the symbolism of the history. You're going to find some very, very peculiar things, especially when it comes to that pyramid. Try to find out who they credit with devising it. Find out about the session that it was adopted. And what you'll see, just like anything else, they tell you, oh, this was that, it came from here, so on and so forth. You're going to find out that they're going to speak about someone that's a stranger that they did not know. That brought it to them. That's written. Why would they not? You understand what I'm saying? Look into that. And in regards to what you said and what we're saying here, you're absolutely correct. The prophet says, regard not what any man has said. So nobody here should believe Brother people are here. Nobody. But then what does he say? He says to forget the flesh and go with mind into the land of fleshes. Mind never does forget. And backwards through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves unless they know. Brother man, you're a sheep. You're made an Adam from more sides of America. You have the ability to find the proof you're looking for. The problem is you're not going to find it outside of yourself. You got to go within and read it. It's there. Go within and read it. And if you continue to keep searching without, peace.
Hey, Brother F. Spalding, Islam?
I remember one time
I made a visit to Temple 54. Brother D. Park Hill was in the Latin class. And, you know, we were discussing some things, and he had mentioned the profit and working with the stock market. And like Brother King Turner Bay, I'm like, come on with this. I'm like, seriously, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like I've heard that before. I'm like, all right, you know, I'm around you, like, show me that. You know, but from time to time to time, with spending time with them before, it got revealed to me. You know, so much so that I even had a conversation briefly this year with Brother D. Clark Hill about some people that I'm looking for. And just even looking at their history, because of understanding what the prophet has given us, and being around certain adept divine ministers in this state of New York, to be able to recognize things, and to recognize people that don't look like us, that are very successful. And when I look at them, I have a definitive understanding that they understand what a prophet is. You know, based on certain events in their family, based on certain dates, you know, I can look at certain things. And even now, right now, being in a conversation with them and having their attention because they understand that I understand how they got to where they are. You know, so yeah, this is one of these exercises where, you know, you'll hear something, you'll see something, and you may even challenge it, even doubt it. But, you know, as I've heard Elder Moore say, if you stick around long enough, you'll find out. And, you know, that's my contribution to the conversation.
Praise Allah, praise Allah. And I hope I agree with you. I hope all of us, right? The prophet gives us, it says, the wise man doubted often and changes his mind. Even if you've been in the movement 10, 20, 30 years, even if you're 75 years old, 90, that's a consciousness because you're trying to arrive at the knowledge of truth. You already know that the clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. So think about how it is, Brother Grand Governor brought it up, the consciousness to know. We grow up in our families and our parents are telling us this and that. We don't know if it's the truth or not. We're relying on that they love us and they're telling us the truth. But they might not even know the truth. I mean, if our parents told us we were black and we were Negro and we were this and we were that, they were just spreading their understanding the best of their ability. But somewhere along the line, you get the ability to know for yourself. And just like the brothers talking about these different discussions, I think most of us had these discussions with ourselves when we first came to the temple. You're learning all this information. Who said that? I didn't read that. I don't know. Where's that said? What do you mean I'm not black? What do you mean I'm a Muslim? What do you mean all the people in South America are Muslim? What do you mean this? What do you mean that? Some things are written, some things are not written. Then we do a lot of things that are not written, and then we talk about, well, where's that written? Where's it written that you pray on 7? Anyone show me? Show me where it's written down. We all do it. All Moorish Americans write it down. Where is it written? Put your feet like this. Put your hands up there. Why 5 minutes? Why is it not the other way? Not written, but we all do it. Follow prophet. And like the brother was saying, we ran into brothers and sisters that met the prophet. Well, their memory wasn't maybe as good, whatever, but I never got a feeling of trying insincerity or them leading us in the wrong directions. So what I try to tell them was my best ability is, first of all, read everything the prophet gave us. Read everything the prophet gave us. Read the charter. Read all the articles. We get a good understanding and then research that, like we all have done. And then we continue to unfold. And that's why we have these discussions, so we can all unfold. And that was a very good question, Brother Turner. Don't get me wrong. Let me get to Brother Gaines here, and then I'll get right back to you, and then we're going to move on. Brother Gaines here, and then Brother Turner. It's on.
Praise Allah for the brother, and the brother making the statements that he's making. Because you're going to get a lot of individuals that are coming to the Moorish Science Temple of America, and they're going to have that same point of view. But more, I've been in this organization almost 40 years. And there's things that over the course of time that I saw or thought I knew, and as time went on and I opened up this Koran, and I was like, hold up a minute. I thought the prophet was saying this. But now I realize that the prophet is saying that. What's going to happen more is the more and more you spend time in this organization, and the key to it is, instead of being a dear reader, study the words of Prophet. Read and study every single word, because it comes to a point in time that you think you know what the prophet is saying until you study it. And then once you study it, then it starts to become revealed to you. This is a spiritual movement. And just like the Grand Governor said, anything that you want to know, you have the ability to read it. Because what did the prophet say? He said, in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry is made of every thought and every word and every deed. And lo, when the world is ready, Allah will send a messenger to copy from its sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. Everything from the past and the present, more is to your touch. And I know that sounds like, oh yeah, more, that's the same thing everybody else is saying, more. But until you are able to recognize it for yourself, that's when you'll be able to see it. And let me say this also. I sat and went to Chicago, and I was fortunate enough to meet the prophet's wife. And I was fortunate enough to press her hand. And then I started to realize that at that particular time, what I had become a member of. So a lot of times we may think that we understand, and the Grand Sheikh made a perfect point, and I'm going to go right back to it, and then I'm going to sit down. Chapter number 26, Holy Instructions in Unity. Verse 3. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubteth often and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. And down it again at the bottom. Verse 10. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounteth as the highest learning. And the science of happiness is the study of his life. Mom, you got it. You got it, Mom. You are in possession of everything that you want to know. Peace.
Hey, praise God. We got Brother Turner Bay.
It's long.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the brothers for their, kind words. All praises due to the great God Allah. Everything in the flesh is weakness. But like I said, the brother just spoke, right? He said he heard something and then it was revealed to him. Why would you mention something that's pertinent to knowledge, right? And then hold it? You're supposed to demonstrate. If we got truth, we're supposed to demonstrate. Ain't no concealment here. That irked me when you said that, truth be told, because it's like, yo, I'm gonna keep this knowledge for myself. I'm gonna let you know I know this, but I ain't gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna spill this instead. That's what it sounded like. But like I said, wonderful words from the brother, and this is a divine and national movement. Understand? So my basic understanding, because I'm a youth, I'm young in this movement, but I have a certain level of understanding, all praises be to Allah, that, truth is but one, right? So if we're going to stand on truth, let's just do that. This ain't just religious, it's mixed, because we don't separate what they call so-called church from state. If you do, then you leaving one side of yourself blind and the other side of yourself still blind, because you need both in order to exist. If you got a higher self and you got a lower self, and they cannot exist without each other. They must exist. And what we're seeking to do is have them exist in unity and sit to save your love on the throne so you can direct it. Because what? Rash, you got pain, it's a body of desires. So, with that I say peace.
Hey, Brother Gaines here? And then we're gonna move on more.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna try to make this short as possible. More when I first joined the Morris Science Temple of America in 1987, Brother R. Curtis Bay was the Grand Sheik at that time. And I remember I was seeking to get ill put on all of my documentation because at that time I didn't have it. Brother Clark Hill, at that time was gracious enough to let me use the old Earmobile, and I took the Earmobile at that time, and I took my road test in Yonkers, New York. And I went into the Department of Motor Vehicles, and Brother R. Curtis Bay told me, listen, walk into the motor vehicles, don't deal with the people at the counter, go speak to the person in authority, and you'll be rendered a favorable reply. Speak the prophet's words, and you'll be rendered a favorable reply. And I was turned away, Mo, and I'm not going to say I wasn't disappointed. I was turned away because the Moors told me this was going to manifest and that was going to manifest, and I got turned away. So I went back to Brother R. Curtis Bay and I said, Mo, I did everything you told me to do, and I didn't get rendered a favorable reply. She said, well, maybe I don't understand what you're speaking about, but I'm not going to let you put that name. Your name is Alfonso Gaines Jr. That's it. That's what your documents say. So I went to Brother Curtis Bay and he said, More. It was funny. He said, More, let me ask you a question. He said, Brother Gaines here. Is the Department of Motor Vehicles in Yonkers the only motor vehicles in New York City? So I'm thinking, no, they got one in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. He said, then go to another one. Go to another one. But don't stop until you get it done. And when I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles in Manhattan, I went to the highest authority they had there. I sat down and spoke to him. He told me to come in his chambers, and we sat down. And he said, is this the only name that you use? And I said, yes, this is the only name I use. I'm a Moorish American or the Moorish Science Temple of America. And this is the only name I use. He said, wait right here. When he came back, he asked me, do you have the money to pay for it? Like he was going to pay for it for me. And I said, yes, I have the money. He said, wait right here. He said, when I come back to speak to you, you're going to put your feet on that dot right there, and you're going to take your picture, and you're going to go your way. And when he came back, I went and put my feet there. I took my picture, which I still have my fez on my driver's license to this day. Even when I try to take it without my fez on, they sent it right back to me with my fez on. And I pressed his hand and I said, I trust we'll meet again. You know what that did for me, Will? Because I wasn't relying on anybody else to do it. I took the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali and I went on the hedges and the highways and I did it myself. So there's going to come a point in time, Will, where you're going to have to prove it to yourself that this is the place to be. You're going to have to go on the hedges and the highway. You're going to have to stand before the magistrate and get rendered a favorable reply. And at that point in time, then along with what your understanding now, because remember, understanding is the rock on which man builds himself. It's the gnosis of the Orton of the North, of falsehood and of truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self and the sense of the powers of man himself. Peace.
Hey, Lord. We're going to move on, Brother Spaulding. Go ahead,
So, just on a personal level, I don't hold anything back from anyone. So no one should ever be hurt with anything that I say. I'm very transparent. In fact, I'm so transparent that Brother D. Clark Hill won't even accept me as a friend on Facebook. He feels that I talk too much. You know what I mean? And I embrace that. But my thing is, I know when to speak, I know when not to speak. And I co-sign everything Brother A. Silver just said. I've been on that very same road. And that's how this information gets revealed onto you. Peace.
Peace. Praise Allah. Praise Allah. You know, a lot of times we refer to temple number 34 as a teaching temple. Like you have certain colleges you go to. You just go to get a degree for yourself and then take it and do whatever. And there's certain colleges you go to so you can learn how to be a teacher. So you can take the knowledge that you have and teach it to other people. Now, part of being a good teacher is to be a good student. And being a good student is a science. You know, years ago, I had joined the temple, and I was working pre-K teacher, suit and tie, that's on Old Westbury College. And I signed up for an introduction to computer class. It was the first day of class, Brother Peter's here. Freshman class. So I walk into the class, a bunch of young people, 18, 19 years old, September shorts on, t-shirts, right? Talking, right? I walked into class, suit, tie, right? Fez on. Sat in the front row in the middle seat. There about 10 minutes, they kind of looking at me. I think some of them thought I might be the teacher in the beginning. Then here comes the teacher walking in with his suit and tie on. And he walked in front of his desk, and he looked at me right there, and he looked at me and smiled, right? Because the first thing of a student is coming with the right frame of mind. Remember when I was younger, I come in the classroom, I go right to the back row. Right away. The wrong frame of mind. Coming in late. No notebook. No pen. And so, as far as being a teacher in the Moorish Science of America, talk about 90 years. There were ministers on the hedges and the highways, teaching men and women to repent from their sinful ways, teaching about their nationality and their birthrights, and about the Moorish Science of America. And some of those beautiful ministers were good students. To listen to all the different thoughts that the Moors is talking about. And I remember when I first joined, some of these brothers here when we first joined. And it was like this thing, Brother Gaines here would come in and find, look what I found. Look at this, look at that, look at that. You know, next week we'll talk to you. What about this book over here? And we should go to this place over here. We need to go over here. It was all centered around the Moorish Science of America. It was all centered around that whole statement on page number 13, page number 21. That whole statement about why you come here. Your wisdom is the wisdom of the gods. Why are you coming in the halls of men? And wherever we went in these different halls, hey, we're doing what the prophet said. We're seeking that information so we can help those that are in need. You know, secure those men and women. Because we knew that we couldn't just be like you said. Well, this person said it and that person said it. I'm not just going to walk out there in society. Well, this person said that, this person said that. Now, we wanted to be who we knew who we were. That's why we did the things we did. And we're all going through that process. And some of these things you're never going to see written in any book. You're going to see it in no document. That does not make it not the truth. And praise Allah for the prophet to come and bring us all these truths. Imagine if we've been searching all this time without the information that the prophet gave us. We would only have a little glimmer of what this is all about. But now we've been introduced to the light. The prophet took us out of the marvelous darkness and into the marvelous light. So now I want to talk a little bit about this light. So we have in this chapter, the Holy Koran. We have 18 missing years of Jesus' life. And we just went through this section. And I always talk about how one chapter leads to another chapter. Now, chapter 1 is giving us kind of the map of what's going on in this creation story that we see in front of us. What's going on inside of our reincarnations. We're trying to unfold into the Holy Breath. And so now we go into chapter 2, because when we read that chapter, we're saying, so I'm sure what Surround Bay was saying, what Smithield and more saying, wow, that I'm the seed, and I was planted in the soil of soul, and it grew apace. And then this nature, this flesh became a foe that I must fight. And you're reading the chapter, and it's talking about all of these issues you're going to have, you know, but that you're going to become the strength of Allah may manifest by going through this. And it's talking about when you're feeling like this and you're feeling that way, that the angels and the seraphim and the cherubim are guiding you along the way. And the great God Allah. And that victories are sure. And when you find out, you're all excited about this chapter. It makes every woman, every man, no matter what you're going through, should be excited. That you know that's the good news. That victory is sure. No matter what your mama, your dad, your environment, your people, the TikTok, no matter what, people beat down, whatever, that you one day will unfold and be one with Allah. I mean, that's a beautiful thing to know. And you take this knowledge and you go into chapter 2. And the first thing it's telling you, the education. You have to educate yourself. These revealers of the light is trying to tell you something that you must do. That you yourself tore yourself away from Allah. You debased yourself. You lowered yourself in rank to where you are today. And now you need to see the light. And when you see the light and you're walking in the light, you're not, listen, doubting Thomases, they're always around us. But even doubting Thomases come to the light. Right? There's some that just take, hey, this is what the Moor said, this is what the prophet said, I'm just going to go with it. There's some, I don't know, the prophet, I see Moorish America, I don't know, the prophet's contradicted himself. You heard they say that? Like, really? Yeah, well, I don't know this, but listen, we keep on walking in the light. And that's demonstrating there. Maybe only 30% of the light. Then you're 50% of the light. Then you're 70% of the light. Eventually you become the light. And these different chapters that Jesus gave us information about. And so now we ended that particular session, right? We got those, and now we're going into this part about after you have studied yourself, he's giving messages. And isn't it interesting, the first message, you want to bring that up on the screen? If the Moors go, you can see in your index. I want y'all to go to the index in the Holy Koran, that's on the back. I want to go over something for a second. Starts on page 61. Divine Instructions from the Holy Prophet Index. And go to page 62. All right? So we just finished, you look down there, just finished chapter 19, and X is 10, the I is 1, so at X, 1, X, that's 19. Roman numerals, right? Jesus appears fully materialized. So now look at the chapters that we're going into. Now I say the chapters all the way up to the divine origin of Asiatic nations. I explained to the Moors that I kind of break this Quran down in my own understanding into these different sections. But this section here, let's look at this. Chapter number 20. Holy instructions and warnings for all young men. We used to talk about, like, why is that the first instruction? And think about, we talk about a nation, right? We think about our people. When we think about one of the most important things going on in our nation is that our young men seem to be off balance. Now, I mean, the whole nation's off balance. But it seems like the young men, and if the young men are the head of the families and the future fathers, and if they're off balance, they're ready. You ever heard that? They got like a track from grade school to the prison system. There's a saying for that or something. Like the way they're trying to set it up. Say it again? Pipeline, right? And so now here it is, in that pipeline, here it is a Moorish American. Remember when we first came to the Temple of Gainesville? These young Moors. And the brother's like, well, how you gonna take your family and your wife around off? You get a wife, you gonna take her around on the train? Right? Well, how you gonna support her? You ain't got no job. You got a little part-time job here now. Right? Next thing you know, Brother Kanenebe, I'm a plumber. Right? Brother back there, police officer. Another police officer, iron worker, peace officer. Right? We started finding out different ways. Some of us was in school and got an education and got other different jobs. But we started thinking, how do we better ourselves? You think your conditions can be better. And Brother Curtis Baby used to say it, if you're going to be part of a family, you're going to need certain things. And so this pipeline, where the brother goes from maybe dealing drugs or hustling money on the street, now all of a sudden he finds out about himself. He starts finding there's other ways, and it don't have to be a trade, it don't have to be a job, you can start a business. Whatever it was, you had to figure out a way, and then you use the great God Allah, because what we talk about, it started thinking things. We started thinking differently. And so we changed the ethers, and we caused and directed the force to put us where we are today. If we didn't have that, we don't know where we might have ended up a certain way. We might have not changed our consciousness. So now, divine instructions for young men. Then after that, 21. Marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet. 22. duty of a husband, holy instructions for thy children, obedience of children toward their father, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. This is the answer to the problems we have in our nation. And all of us that read these instructions, you know it. Now, if you have taken these instructions and applied them to yourself, then your family and your friends will see improvement in your character. If you just taking them and you just read them and you just repeat them, then you're just the same person, you're just a little bit older. All right? Throw this around with me.
This one.
It's on.
Rise to give praise to Allah, give honor to His holy prophet, Muhammad Ali, and I give honor to everything that pertains to Islam. You know, for the Grand Sheik, when I first came into the meeting today, it was something you touched on about life. Now, I can't remember what you said exactly, but the thought that I had in reference at that time is consistently coming up in my mind throughout this entire conversation. Like Allah must want me to share it like this, right? And I was thinking, when I first joined the More Science Simple of America, you know, I'm 22 at the time. Social media is out, Facebook, everything. And I already had Facebook before I joined More Science Simple of America. And I had all my friends on Facebook that I grew up in neighborhoods with and did things I had no business doing with. And so I thought, you know, as I'm coming to the More Science of America, I'm like, well, if I'm wearing Fez, or I'm going back to neighborhood and I'm wearing my Fez, or are they gonna look at me weird? They're gonna look at me different. They're gonna, you know, like, what are you doing? Something that's strange, right? So I thought that I could have two social medias, right? One where I could be, you know, what we refer to as a Negro, and the other I could be a Moorish American. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this, right? But then as time continues, I start to realize, no, right? You ever heard the term that having a life outside the temple? Ever heard anyone say that? Yeah, I have a life outside of the temple, right? What does that mean? And I asked myself that, what does that mean? Have a life outside the More Science of America? Now I was thinking, you know, Prophet Jesus, he talks about how he gave his life and willing sacrifice for men. I said, no, I only have one life. Allah has given to me, right? One life. And you mentioned just now about when you apply these teachings into your life, they're not only for you, they're for the benefit of mankind. And so that is my contribution to the More Science of America and to my family, is by taking these lessons, taking these teachings, right? Prophet, he gives us everything it takes to save a nation. Take it and save yourself. So in that sense of saving myself, that is the contribution piece.
Praise the Lord. What's with there?
It's almost.
It's on.
Praise a lot for the discussion. I just want to give honor to you all, because I think that one of the things I think about a lot in the questionnaire is, how does the Prophet get to uplift Moorish Americans? It's by teaching them to be themselves. And if I think about this unfolding, this understanding of what our purposes are supposed to be in this organization, in this life, playing manifest, it comes through that understanding that we're learning through each other. There's that individual and private study that we all have to have when we look inside right in our heart. But the Prophet's teaching is about becoming better men and women, better citizens, better brothers and sisters, and members of our community, members of our family, and learn how to treat each other better. So as we gain these symbols and gain these understandings of a free national constitution and a free national name, our flag, our standard, we're rebuilding it and putting our sense of self back together, as the Prophet told us, which is that we're returning to the state of mind of our forefathers. And we know that man can't be told, but man knows not by being told. So it's something that we have to experience together to know that there's only one true divine way that peace can get to. There's only one free national name. There's only one Allah, there's only one temple, one prophet. And that oneness comes from combining those two minds, or those seemingly separate parts of ourselves, as we learn about the higher self and the lower self. So that is the peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, Lord. I was just thinking, when you and the brother said together, the conversation that we had, You should put it in its right perspective. You know what I mean by that? When you're on the same team, when you help each other so the team could do better. You know, when a mother or father tells their children or corrects them to help them, it's for the good cause of the whole family and for them. I think sometimes, especially men, we have these egos and we forget that we're supposed to be helping each other. You know what I'm saying? And when we get to that state of mind, you know, we lose perspective. It's like if somebody in society like gets up in your face and you don't know them, all these things come up in you, like you know, puff up your chest and like who, you know, like you're ready for battle. But when your uncle gets up in your face, you feel in a certain way, but it's not the same. Or your father, or your mother, or your aunt, or your grandma, or even a friend, because you know that they love you. You know they care about you. They know your family. So there is a certain way that you don't get that certain way. And that's why when I always tell them more, when you come in the temple, you get the nationality card, and it says brother or sister. It's to remind us that we're family, right? Because sometimes we forget we're family. You know, in this chapter that we're going to talk about, page 20, I want us to read it together, right? Holy instructions for young men. And so when you see these instructions, and you have these instructions, and then you see a young man in your life, or even yourself, you have to give the instructions. Page 32, the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter 20. Holy instructions and warnings for all young men. Has warning in the title. Instruction 1 starts off, beware. Warning, beware. Warning, beware. You should put yourself in a certain state of mind. These are not just words the prophet's using. He's making you think a certain way. Beware. Beware is like beware something like something could hurt me. Something could do damage to me, right? Beware the door. Watch out for that door. Beware. Beware what? Beware, young man. Beware of all the allurements of wantonness. You gotta look up that word. Because I don't know if we use that word in our neighborhood. I don't remember using that word in Queens. I don't know if they use it in the Bronx. You ever heard that word before, sister? Wantonness? Oh, you heard it before. All right. Now, what does that mean? Oh, secretary. Oh, you know what it means? What's around me?
That's all, man. No, I don't know.
You've read it for 15 years. You know what it means?
I have an idea, but.
You have an idea? Yeah, see, now the more getting out their dictionaries on the phone now. Back in Temple 21, 20-something years ago, brother Spalding Bay, you probably, if you go there, they might still have it. Remember one of those big old dictionaries you only see in the library? Yeah, wantonness. He's pulling out the vocabulary. Look at this. Brother Smithiel, look, Sister Sealdiel. Brother Smithiel is pulling out his vocabulary definer. Brother Peter's here. Don't leave home without it, bro. You got one?
No, what is that?
Sister Rashida here did some homework for all of us way back in the day. So before we had Google, you know what I'm saying, Brother Clark Hill? You could look up in the definer. She had the word wantonness.
So we have some of those.
Oh, you like that, huh? Yeah, I could order some. Yeah, wantonness.
So for wantonness, the definition it has here is an immoral, lewd, or licentious person, especially a woman, being immoral or unchaste. Switch that's for you.
Beware, young man, beware of all the allurements of wantonness, and let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delights. I'll get right to you more. Let me read something else.
Definition.
Okay.
It's a little bit different than the one you read.
So, What you have to walk.
Islam says wantonness is a term that signifies a deliberate and unprovoked disregard for the safety or well-being of others, often involving a reckless or malicious intent. It can also refer to unrestrained behavior, whether in a sexual or general sense, and can even imply cruelty and destructiveness.
Yeah, you on. They might be old English, but it's the same flavor, whether it was 2,000 years ago or 2025. The same young man has the same things going on inside of him. Whether he's your son or my nephew, or you think grew up in a church, or he's in the masjid, the thing about it is something that's in young men. Look at the marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet, Brother Smith here. If you could read instruction 2. And this is talking about the woman, but think about how the woman's approached.
In the spring of thy youth, in the morning of thy days, when the eyes of men gaze on thee with delight, and nature whispereth in thine ear the meaning of their looks, hear with caution their seducing words. Guard well thy heart, nor listen to their soft persuasions.
All right. When the eyes of men gaze on thee with delight, their seducing words. So we don't have to go any further. We kind of got a good picture of what the prophet's trying to talk to young men about. You know, that pursuit when you're 13 and 14 and 15 and 16, you start thinking about the sisters a certain way, he's telling you something here. And like I said, once the young men go down this road, right, it causes a lot of issues with the family, a lot of issues with society. And somehow we got to break that cycle. So praise Allah for a lot of the young men, Moorish Americans, that read holy instruction and warnings for all young men. Brother Gaines here was a young man a long time ago. I mean, not that long, a few years. But praise Allah. But listen, let me read it again. Beware, young man. Beware of all the allurements of wantonness, and let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delight. The madness of desire shall defeat thee, thy own pursuits, and from the blindness of its rage thou shalt rush upon destruction. Now, first of all, a lot of young men aren't even getting those instructions. But imagine if their fathers and their uncles and their grandfathers were giving them these instructions. And then they saw examples of their older brothers that were in their 20s and in their 30s that were following the instructions. That would cause a young man that's 12 or 13 or 14 to think about the world differently. I'm getting these instructions in Koran class, Koran sheets, reading them. I see the example of my brother that's in college and my other brother that's 30, how he carries himself. I'm seeing an example of my father and mother. Now, instead, if the brother's getting the other kind of things, if he's not getting these instructions, and he's seeing his older brother got 3 different babies by 3 different sisters, and seeing all these different things, and he's looking at that as some kind of mentor or some kind of role model, then you can see where he might be thinking in his thoughts. So that's why I'm saying this chapter is so important for our nation as a people. Was Smith here?
And from Brother Eslam.
Brother Islamabad.
Islam, praise Allah, and honors to our holy and divine prophet. Islam, gratitude for this lesson, Grand Sheikh, because the prophet is known as the savior of humanity, right? And when we looked up wantonness, and like you stated, this is something that's existent in young men. A lot of people speak really negative about this younger generation and makes it seem like there's no hope, there's no salvation, that this is some special enigma that's happening only with this generation, right? But just through breaking down this understanding, we can understand that this is just a part of the lower nature and that it's been around, and we can help uplift and civilize, we can help uplift and remedy that situation through the teachings. Praise Allah.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Islamabad. More as we came to the end of the meeting, so I'm going to call on our chairman. I appreciate it. We're going to be talking about this chapter throughout the summer. These instructions for young men, you know. Praise be to Allah.
Peace.
Peace, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
I'd like to thank the grand chief for conducting the class. I'd like to thank the members for participating in the class. So that's what allows us the opportunity to grow and develop and look at ourselves. Because we are on this together. Because every living thing is run by force, every other living thing. And we can't do it by ourselves. And we have a hand in the miracle. And what was to do to aid and assist and lift our brothers and sisters up. Praise Allah. At this time, I call the Grand Governor to read the warning.
Islam.
Praise Allah, honor to Prophet Noble Jawali, honor to everything that pertains to this one. January 15, 1929. Prophet warns all Muslims. Governor is ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans because it's confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Juali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins by order of prophet Noble Juali. Peace.
Peace.
Islam?
Islam.
I'd like to thank the Grand Governor for reading the proclamation. At this time, our secretary, assistant secretary will read the information for us for 10:34. And Sister M. Serrano Bay. M. Serrano Bay. Here you go. Huh? Oh, she gonna tell you. One second. All right, go ahead.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam Secretary Islam here at Temple number 34 for Sunday School. We're here to share the information around locally here in Brooklyn, as well as information for Temple number 34. Secretary Stein, we have the ability to send in donations or to pay for any of the dues and assessments via our Cash App, which can be found at $MCA34, as well as our PayPal and Zelle accounts, which are available through our email. It's moresciencetempleno.34@gmail, moresciencetempleno.34@gmail.com. And just want to remind the Moors that for any payments that they're sending in, whether it's dues, assessments, literature, or general donations, in any form of payment that they send, that the Moors are able to add a note explicitly talking about and referring to what they're paying for, so that the Moors can catalog it properly. It would be greatly appreciated. Just want to remind the Moors that during the week, we have our national conference call every Thursday, hosted here at Temple number 34 by our Grand Chief Brother Debbie Bay, as well as our Assistant Chairman, Brother El Serrano Bay. It's at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. It goes into about 8:30, 9 o'clock. The call is a phone dial-in number, not the Zoom login that we are on today. So if you have any questions, we have answers. And if you want the number of phone calls, you can make sure to send it in the messenger and the chat as well. Temple 34 also hosts our sheep training classes, and our final sheep training class will take place on the third Tuesday of this month, and that will be July 15, 2025. If you have any questions, you can contact our Grand Chief Brother Debbie Bay, or email moresciencetempleno.34@gmail.com. And it's reminding the ones that for future sheep training classes that you don't have to be just recommended or eligible to become a sheep possibly in order to attend the class. If you're just interested or already a sheep or a divine minister, just a member, and would like to participate and hear what the Moors have to offer on the quality and standards of being a sheep, this is a perfect opportunity to do so. So the Moors are available July 15th at 8 p.m. on Zoom, same Zoom that we're on today. Also here, I don't have the flyer, I have to find it again, but before our 90-year celebration of our Charter Day here at Temple 34, we have our Authority Day. This is going to be taking place on July 20th, 2025. And here at Temple 34, we're going to be traveling to Philadelphia, Temple 11, to celebrate our 90th, excuse me, not our 90th, but our Authority Day celebration. And then the following week, we'll be back here in Brooklyn, New York, to celebrate our Charter Day celebration, which is our specific 90th charter.
This is also for Sisters Auxiliary.
Thank you, sister.
Remember, Sisters Auxiliary.
Thank you, sister.
And I'm a Sisters Auxiliary member, just because I'm a sister.
Praise God. That's right. Praise God. The Charter Day celebration will take place in our regular Sunday school Koran class time at 2 in the afternoon. It will take place until 4. And the Moors will be definitely sharing in fellowships and time for refreshments and treats after the meeting. So be sure to stick around. Meet all the Moors. Locally as well, we have the National Buffalo Soldiers Day Resource Fair. Our brother Chairman has been involved with Buffalo Soldiers for some time. This is going to be taking place on July 28, 2025 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Brooklyn Borough Hall, 209 Jorrell Mall Street. Praise Allah, in Brooklyn, New York. And also in August, we have Moorish Science Temple of America's Temple number 28's annual Moorish Family Day. It's going to be taking place on Sunday, August 10th, and that's from 12 noon to 6 p.m. So it's a great opportunity for Moors and all friends of Asiatics and Muslims to come and enjoy the Moorish celebration that we do annually. It's not for that, sir.
Islam, you mentioned Authority Day.
Praise Allah, yes.
I believe that's 97 years.
97 years to Authority Day. Praise Allah. Thank you, brother. Brother was just reminding us and addressing properly the 97th Authority Day that will be taking place on July 20th. And this annual Moorish Family Day is hosted by Temple number 28 in Glassboro, New Jersey. So there'll be games, music, food and refreshments available, as well as time for the children, all Moors across the nation to come together. It's a great opportunity. So if the Moors are able, please do call ahead and contact any of your Grand Chiefs or Sister W. Wright Bay, which is Grand National Secretary. It's not someone from 34, but Moorish Science Temple of America. We have the RSVP to W. Wright Bay, Sister W. Wright Bay, by July the 28th. So if Moors would like information following that, please contact Sister W. Wright Bay, as well as your local Grand Chief. With that, after we have the last announcement, which is our reminder for the Moorish God, as Grand Chief mentioned earlier. It's been 100 years since the organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And this Moorish Guide is this is the third issue, I believe, of this year, or just first issue. Praise Allah. So the Moors would like to also stay up to date with what the Moors are writing, the Moorish Guide staff is adding, contributing to this great newspaper. It's a great opportunity at this time to pick up a copy. With that, that's all the announcements for this afternoon. Leave for Marshall Eats.
Peace. Islam.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Secretary time. We want to continue conversation. You can do it during this time if you want to continue until the secretary gets Islam, Sister answer around the bay.
I'd like to ask some questions, please.
Wait there.
Would you like to answer some 7-year-old questions?
Oh, who made you?
Allah.
Who's Allah? Can we see it? Where's the nearest thing to here? Who is Noble Ali? What did they promise? What did the do they promise? Who was the founder of the Morris Science Center of America? What year was the Morris Science Center of America founded? Where? Where was Noble Ali born? Where was he?
North Carolina in 1886.
Yes, right. What is his nationality? What is your nationality? Why are we Moorish American? What purpose was the Moorish Science of America founded? What purpose was the Moorish Science of America founded? For the uplifting. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? What is our religion? Is that a new or is that the old time religion? What kind of flag is the Moorish? 5.3. What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, faith, freedom, and justice.
Good. Power, clear, and authority. How old is our flag? How old is our flag?
Over 10,000 years old.
Which is our holy day?
Friday.
Why?
Because Friday when in Friday was the day when men came out of
Because it was a Friday when man was on the Friday when man was formed in prison, was Friday when he departed out of prison. One more? Who was Jesus?
He was a prophet of Allah.
Where was he born?
Whoa. That's my name was Judah in the house of David.
Yeah. Who was father and mother?
Joseph and Mary.
Will you give him brief the lines you know that you Jesus came? Some of the great fathers
The great fathers,
to which Jesus came
or
are
or
Abraham,
Abraham,
Boaz, Baruch,
Boaz,
who what else? Some of the great fathers to which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz, Baruch, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Okay, yeah, see, got it.
That's all I remember.
All right, that's good. Thank you, Sister Serrano, baby. Appreciate you. Doing well. Doing well. Power, clear, and authority.
Honor to you, Jesus.
Honor to you. So you will carry on the next 90 years. Yes, she is. Praise the Lord.
Still at 100 birthdays.
Yes, definitely. Praise the Lord, Moore's attendance. And we'll continue to work on ourselves, because that's what the more science of the world is all about. Working on yourself. You like to say, the temple that we talk about, the temple within. Go within, go within, go within. When you ask what to study, I say yourself. You will have studied them. Ask you what to study next. I reply yourself. Because it's a constant study yourself. That's the only way we can unfold. And like I said, but sometimes we got to remember to let us forget the flesh and go with mind into the line of fleshless thing. Mind never does forget. You know, that's why the Prophet tells us to raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom. Raise your thoughts. Praise Allah. Sister AGS, how are you?
Islam. Praise Allah. Honor to our prophet. Honor to everything contained in Islam. I know like rest of us, I felt like allergy season has come with a certain level of vengeance late, a little bit after the summer kicked in.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a beautiful Sunday school. I think it's important that we actually have certain conversations in a more open perspective. I think that it's important from a more I think that it's important to also always communicate certain things as though it's someone who's coming in for their first day all the way up until somebody who's been here for years. Because I think it makes sure that it's always reaching the public and even those who may be in a different frame of mind. Like, for example, Michaela, 5 seconds ago, was like, hey, it's still yeah, I want to answer these questions. And it's like, what time is it all over? I think you guys are late. It's already 4 o'clock, you know? So the attention span also matters with the delivery of information. I think more than beautifully. I said that to also highlight coming in with Brother Islandale having more refinement.
Yeah.
So I think that even just that, when it comes to making things clear, is very much important. I think that there are also other dictionaries, as, you know, we got Brother Clarkill, Brother Gainesville there, you know, the ones that they've spoken about with the root of our words in Latin, and being able to understand the importance and how it affects the definition, but also the perspective. And when you put the time into actually looking into those things, then I think you can see things a little bit deeper than what you would have seen them not having a different perspective to look at them on. So with that, I say peace.
Thank you for the
There's a lot.
Islam,
Islam.
give your attention to our Assistant Secretary as he reads today's financial report.
Islam.
Islam.
More Science Temple of America, Temple number 34, finance received for July 13, 2025. We received a public collection of $18. Sisters Auxiliary received $16. Uplifting Fund received $13. Travel Fund received $18. And Local Building Fund received $6. Coming out to a grand total of $71 and a total attendance of 25. That's it, peace.
Yay.
Islam,
Islam.
you heard me reading the financial report. What's willing to play you more? Brother else around the base?
That's all. I move that the financial report be accepted with any necessary corrections that we made.
So it's Paul Nick.
Second motion.
It was moved by Brother else around the base, second by Brother F. Paul Nick, that will be accepted with necessary corrections. You're the motion. Are you ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor of this motion, show by the most favorable. Praise the Lord. Second, note that the motion has been carried. Carried.
No running, please.
I'd like to thank everyone for their contribution physically, spiritually, and financially. I pray Allah continue to guide us. I pray Allah continue to protect us. I pray Allah continue to shield us against all negative forces seen and unseen. And just remember, don't forget throughout this prayer and put a thought out there to be of the word, because you can send a thought from the center to the outer bound of life. We praise Allah. Don't forget to get some more reports. They can give their family and loved ones. All rise, face the east. Feet at the 90 degrees. Those who do not wish to pray with us, keep those hands solid.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Love, truth,
Truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom, and justice.
and justice.
Allah, my protector.
Allah is my protector,
My guide, my salvation,
and my salvation.
my night,
By night,
and my day,
and by day.
through his holy prophet,
Through his holy prophet,
through Ali,
through Ali.
amen.
Amen.
Praise Allah.
Shalom, Moors. Peace and love, Moors.
Love.